Hello and welcome to Channel Sport on Sunday. I'm Ken Ochonogo, and it is that weekend again where the only club in Nigeria to have won the CAF Champions League back-to-back is playing the biggest ever football game of its life. And it's happening right there at the Goalkeeping Stadium tonight. So you guys have nowhere to go. The minimum Enyimba is to get out of this is $1 million. $1 million. Don't press your calculator. See, when you hear dollars, the next thing is exchange rate. Don't press your calculator because the AFL is in turn the African Football League. I kicked off 2 days ago, between. When Al Ahly traveled down. They traveled down south to Simba, and it was 2-2. Yesterday, Mamelodi Sundowns went to Angola, and they won at away ground. So the 8th inaugural side that are starting this biggest of the biggest, you can think of to empower, to make them play quality football according to CAF and also compete financially. That they're talking about the African clubs is on, and that is the AFL. So we'll talk about the AFL today, and we'll see, where Africa is going. Europe started the European League, and then some clubs came out to do it. But then the rebels said, no way, you guys just want to, kill football in Europe. But in Africa, maybe Africa is setting the pace. So we shall look at the pros and the cons and look at, what those clubs, stands to gain. But there's Enyimba is our first representative in that competition, which I just kicked off now in 2023. So from there, we'll go to the world of rugby. The South Africans seem to have, I don't know, they say that these are not, I think they're not a cat. They are, they are the box. So I don't know how many lives the box have. Because against the host France in the quarterfinals, you know how it was. We already written them off. They were dead and buried, and they came back. It was 29-28. Just a single point. And then they came again, against England. England's ran all the way. 15-6, yes, from 15-6, and then I blinked my eyes, and before I opened it, it was 16-15, and the South Africans, are right there, going to face the hacker guys from New Zealand in the final. That will be next week Saturday. Rugby had never been so sweet, had never been so exciting, had never been so nerve-wracking. I tell you, we shall have Mr. Rugby today by his grace to join us on this show, and we shall go through those moments. The Argentines throwing wheels out of the window and coming up short, when they were demolished by the New Zealanders. But right now, it will be not England, it will be South Africa. Yes, Mandela, South Africa, taking on New Zealand in the finals right there in Parc des is it Parc des Marseille? I'm trying to get that now, but that is in France. That is in France where it is happening. Coming back home, it has not been too good for Bayelsa United. They started, the first game. I mean, of course, they considered and came back to win that 5-3. And we said, look, there was a hooray with, the striker Mizu scoring that particular hat trick. But then it has been down in the last 3 games. I don't know. They just lost to Niger Tornadoes. But let's see what is going to happen. We shall look at also the other fixtures for today and see how, the league and then the teams, we'll be marching on, and all of them hoping to be part of the AFL, to be part of, getting from that bounty of a $14.4 million dollars that is there. If you are good, and then we'll look at the formats, and then of course Jimmy is in the house, and we shall look at the teams that will participate after this inaugural edition, how it is going to take place, what your team need to do to be part of it. So we shall do just that. In England, we shall take a few matches. In England, yes, the Gunners are still unbeaten. I remember when insurance record they said Edo Rangers, Edo Arsenal, when Arsenal went in that unbeaten, and they were unbeaten. Arsenal are still unbeaten this season. They were unbeaten last season. But let's see, but they're not topping. But last season they were unbeaten and topping. But this season they are unbeaten. So let us see how it is going to be. But But what were your Manchester United yesterday? I will talk about that because they also lost their legend, also Bobby Charlton, one of the iconic figures in football. He just left at 86. Talking about cats with 9 lives. It was there in 1958 in Munich when that accident happened, when the team, after beating Red Star Belgrade, on going back to Manchester, stopped over a minute to refuel, and when the plane got off, bam, that was it. Manchester United lost 23 members of that team, 8 members of the football club, some promising players who would have become greats, in the future. But they came out of those ashes in 1958, and by 1968 they won the European Champions Cup, which is the Champions League now. Well, and guess who was the captain? The man who survived that crash, Bobby Charlton, in 1958 was the captain in 1968, where United became the first English side, to win it. Not the first British, because Celtic has done it in 1967, a year before Manchester United, collected a particular trophy. So he is gone, the legend is gone, the great one is gone, the man who won the World Cup, the man who won the Champions League, the man who won the Ballon d'Or. And I tell you, only 9 footballers, 9 can lay claim to that in the world. Only 9 of the, you can count how many footballers play for each club. But then globally, all over the world, only 9 footballers have achieved that feat to win the World Cup, to win the Champions League, and to win the Ballon d'Or. You can count them in your fingers. You have 10 fingers, so you see I have one reserve if you want to count all your fingers. So, and then the basketball here at home, it is the MFM team. MFM ladies, not the MFM men, because the MFM men, they were going the way of one club in Lagos like that. Abiku. Jimmy's in the house. So I'm choosing my words. I'm choosing my words today. It's a bright Sunday. Forget the rain. It's a bright Sunday. So the women came to achieve what the men couldn't. But the men tried in football. But in basketball, the MFM women have just done that. David Otite will join us right there from the United Kingdom, also to look at the teams, how the Super Eagles performed. The whole talk has been about the goalkeeping area, and the Nigerians are saying, is this the team? Is this the back four? Is it that we are taking? And the man who organizes the back four, who is the goalkeeper? What are the options we have in goal as we go to AFCON in 2024, right there in Côte d'Ivoire? The last time we were in Côte d'Ivoire, that's another fact. That was in 1984. So yes, when Côte d'Ivoire, when we got to Côte d'Ivoire that year, we went all the way to the final. Are we going a step further? At 84 now, that's how many years? Still trying to remember. That's about how many years? 39 years. So in the 40th year, they nobody have the 40th year in the Bible. Okay. All right. My guys are in the house. Let me start with Jimmy. Jimmy, the Gunners came out from the dead. And they actually came out from the dead because they were dead and almost buried.
It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon to the viewers and also to you and yourself. Good to see Arsenal come back. Maybe not an impressive display at the end of the day, but what mattered was the point. And Arsenal got that, for people, all of taste, to use that word. A lot of people actually had written Arsenal off, especially with the display in the first half, but they came good eventually, 2-2, and I think it's something that the two sides will be happy about, especially the Chelsea side. They had, fantastic performance against Fulham, good enough performance against Burnley. First half, a good display, but allowing themselves to slump off against Arsenal. They had the opportunity, they didn't do well enough. Maybe they will regret that, but at the end of the day, what was most important was the fact that the Arsenal team did come back in the second half and they showed strength of character. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win for the two teams, especially because of the fact that
it's a win-win for Chelsea.
It has to be. It has to be because ordinarily before the game, a lot of people actually believe that the Arsenal team will decimate, discombobulate, and eviscerate them. Now that it didn't go down, they've got to be. Now that they didn't go down, they've got to take that 1 point and be, delighted. What they would take, as something joyous was the fact that in the first half, that players actually did very, very well. I talked, behind the stage, I talked about the goal by Modric.
Yeah.
And the boy that scored said, I was told that Raya will come out. And if he does come out, lob it over him, and exactly what transpired.
And I think it was almost as if he was trying to make a cross.
It looked like a fluke. But at the end of the day, whether it was a fluke or not,
a goal is a goal.
A goal is a goal. And he mentioned the fact that his own goalkeeper trainer actually did say, look, lob it over him. He normally comes out. And, that would be a major concern for Arteta at this point in time, because Ramsdale was not particularly noted for errors, but now it's looking like Raya is coming in and there are error-strewn performances from him. Champions League, in the league right now, they've got to be concerned. If he had been using the two of them, he plays this, plays the other one, but it now seemed like maybe Ramsdale had done something hugely wrong. But I think this will give him some sort of concern.
Are you saying Raya and Onana in the same WhatsApp group chat?
No, they cannot be. They cannot be. I would say that Raya has proven himself, but at this point in time, you can't become error-strewn and get compared to Onana. No.
Okay. That would be Onana didn't keep a clean sheet yesterday. Onana did not keep a clean sheet yesterday.
As per United, you've got to like what exactly Maguire did. I mean, with all of the criticism he does get, he had, a very likable performance. And I think we've got to start giving him that respect.
No, Maguire says sometimes there is a dip in form.
Yeah, especially
this was the person that United break the bank and because in the world and brought him in. Yeah. This is a guy who has made English team, and even the English manager still kept faith with him in spite of all that. I think I will take that with certain managers. They don't, when they take a player. What this name of this player? This guy who left from Liverpool to Crystal Palace, Benteke.
Benteke, yeah.
At the point, Benteke was not. I mean, his club form was down. It was just
exactly.
It was blunt. I mean,
exactly.
Nothing. He wasn't scoring anything. He was just not anywhere or whatever. Yet he was still making the national team. Yeah. So I mean, as a managers look at you and say, look, it doesn't.
Are you saying that's why he was always still making the team, the national team? because it's easy to actually use that as an excuse.
Okay, let's go. Catalan, we are seeing. Bobby Charlton, let's just take that particular story. Yeah. Bobby Charlton, 1937 to 2021. Here is the man that we just talked about here. What else can you add to a man who has won the World Cup, who has won the Champions League, who has won the Ballon d'Or, who has so captained a team to win, to win the Champions League and stuff like that. But like we said, he came out of the ashes because he was in that deadly accident that claimed 23 people died, but 8 of his teammates died. He came out, and of note was that when he won the World Cup, he won it with his elder brother in the team. Two brothers, winning the World Cup. I don't know, are there been other brothers that played the World Cup final? I've not
and won it. No,
I'm not sure.
And won it.
Not sure.
And it was tributes all over in the league yesterday.
Yeah.
And, yes, deservedly so, because he is easily one of the greatest English footballers of all time. And looking at his achievements and everything he's been able to bring to the game.
Yes.
And then, in Manchester United legend, and you can't say anything less than that. It's sad that he's gone, but at least, like you said, he lived a life that a lot of people would only dream of. And I'm very sure come the end of the month, when the Ballon d'Or will be presented to, I think, the greatest player of all time, there will be another befitting
in local palace,
but like you said, 9 players winning the Ballon d'Or.
There are only 9 players.
Only 9 players. The likes of Kaká, Rivaldo, Beckenbauer, Paulo Rossi.
Messi.
We know.
No, you mentioned Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Which of Ronaldo?
Rivaldo.
Okay,
right?
Rivaldo. When you mentioned Ronaldo,
I know you were looking out for that Ronaldo because of Messi.
Okay, say Rivaldo.
I said Ronaldo. Because that's what
I checked the list of the 9 actually, and I saw Valdo.
Okay, Valdo.
I didn't see Ro from the beginning. So
Ken, growing up, one of the things that attracted me to football was actually, you know, my dad always talking about the Charlton brothers, Jackie Charlton, you know, Bobby Charlton, Stanley Matthew, because of the exploits in 1966 and beyond that. And, you know, I'd always known that name growing up. So I always watched out for, you know, whatever he did. And, you know, you talked about it for the national team. He scored 49 goals out of 106 appearances for Manchester United. He scored 249 out of 758, and those are, you know, achievements that you just want to look at, and you'll be delighted that, look, this is a legend, despite the fact that, you know, he had been diagnosed with dementia. I mean, there are studies around players like them, you know, they suffered heart attacks and all that, and dementia eventually. So these are some of the things that football has got to be concerned about, just like we talk about hemorrhage in boxing, where you have Parkinson's syndrome, where the likes of Muhammad Ali actually did go down because of the after effects of all the blows, all the tackles and all that. So it's good to actually see that a lot of football icons are talking about one of the most iconic figures in world football for Manchester United, for English football, and for, you know, global football. It's really delightful to see how exactly everybody has rallied around at age 6. This is one of the things that we love to talk about. It is what you do that people will talk about.
Yes. Okay, let us bring in Daffy, the big Daff, if he's ready. Is the big Daff ready to join us? Not yet. Okay, we are waiting to see him so that we can look at that. But then let's while waiting for that, because it has to be about this, you know, the Super Eagles performances in the last 2 friendlies that they played against the Saudi Arabians, against the Mozambicans, and then a lot of Nigerians have not stopped talking to them. We are afraid we can't go to the world, we can't go to play Africa with this. But they said, to me, like I always said, it's all about friendlies. I'm not one of who say, look, put too much emphasis on friendly, but you can also look at, you know, individual performances to now say, okay, fine, the morning shows the day. You know, where are you coming from? What are you doing? How good you are? But the fears about them, before we go to Daffy, it's like, okay, I think Daffy's right there, but just give us a minute to come to Daffy now.
Okay.
It's like, most of our players, I don't care whether you're playing the lower division, upper division, but if you're not tying down a place in your club, does it not make you match rusty?
I think it should. And we saw a few players, we've seen in times past, some players that had pedigree going for them, but they get into the team, they're not able to show the quality. We've seen the likes of Ndidi at different times, Aribo, they come into the team based on the fact that, look, they are our staple players. But when they come play for the team, we don't see so much from them. So I think it's very important that we have our players, our players play at the highest level. Apart from playing at the highest level, they should be regular features in their clubs. Because what that does, basically, is they will not be match rusty. They will be consistent and constant and can, you know, go with the flow.
Whilst I actually want to agree with him, but you have to also look at the manager as well, because the coach says that he has certain faith, he has trust
in certain players.
You really cannot but put those players on the pitch. Look at England, perfect example. Harry Maguire, we talked about it. He barely plays for Manchester United. Calvin Phillips.
But he has a pedigree playing for the national team, and he seems to do well playing for the national team.
But that's the same thing as
Calvin Phillips as well.
Yeah.
Yes, he played, was a superstar with Leeds, but moving down to Manchester City.
Yeah, I think the five games.
Now, the aside to what you have said basically is, if these players actually are not playing for their teams regularly and they do play for the national team and they play well, then you can excuse them. But in this particular case, we are seeing that they're not playing for other clubs. They come to the national team, they're not doing well. So.
Okay, let's go. Daffy, is Daffy there now? Let's join the big Daff. He was there some seconds ago. Hello, Daffy, how are you? Yeah, check your audio. Check your audio. Did you mute it?
My audio seems to be good.
Now we are hearing you.
You can hear? Okay, better. Good afternoon once again, Ken.
Good afternoon, Big Daff. Good afternoon, Daffy. Are you in London or in Scotland? Where are you? Are you in London or in Scotland?
I'm in London.
You're in London now. Okay. We just have to situate you. You know,
of course.
There is this track when I was growing up. Ajala travel, All over the world. That was Nigeria some few weeks back again. Yeah. I just came, I breathed and breathed out. And then you owe us, because we thought when you come, we'll bring you right here to the studio live and direct. Then you sneaked in like, I don't want to call you a thief in the night. But just,
no, it was important family business, but all good.
David, let's look at the issue. I know there's a lot of talk about our backline, the Super Eagles looking about going to AFCON, the next AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. But let us have your view, at least your overall view of the first. What is your take on those two friendlies, that would Nigeria versus Saudi Arabia and also Nigeria versus Mozambique? What is your take home?
If we start with the positive, it's our first win in 15 friendly games.
Okay.
Against Mozambique. I mean, since 2019, since we beat, I think it was Egypt that we beat in 2019 in a friendly, 1-0. We have not won a single friendly since then. And so that is a positive. The other positive I will see is most of the players who were called up played. In fact, the only two players in camp that did not play were the two keepers, Ojo. In fact, the three keepers, Ojo, Adeleye, and Maduka Okoye. Every other player got playing time, and we were able to see what they can do on the pitch. That just helps us with our strength in depth. And because if we look at the goalkeeper call-ups since 2018, we have called up almost 20, both from home, the MPFL, and from abroad, both from higher leagues and lower leagues. Out of those 20 that we have called, at least 10 did not see 1 minute of action in a friendly. And if we take Olorunleke Ojo as an example, he's been called up 3 times. 3 times he's been called up for 6 matches. He was not able to play a single minute in the last year. I then start to wonder what the point is calling somebody up just to camp and not seeing him in a match situation. Yes, the last goalkeeping issue was unfortunate and probably forced the manager's hand because, okay, we saw what happened in the match against Saudi Arabia. And if Uzoho was dropped, it may have been a bigger situation that we're faced with. So I think the coach may have had his hand forced to keep Uzoho put him back into the post. Like they say, when you fall off a horse or you fall off a bicycle, the best thing for you to do is to jump right back on it and start riding again. And I think that is what happened. You're talking about, I don't know, you said whether his hand may have been forced. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I don't think I heard it very well. What do you mean by what do you mean by his hand may have been so? Is he not in charge of the team? Yeah, no, not forced by anybody else, not forced by anything external, forced by what happened on the pitch. When you have a player that needs support, or when you have a situation on the pitch where you need to take action, then sometimes you might even prepare a substitute. There's something on the pitch happens, and then you tell the substitute to go and sit down. That no, this is not the time. This is what I meant by maybe his hand was forced. So maybe that's error. That goal that was conceded might have forced the coach's hand to say, right, this player may need a little bit more work. And this player might need a hand around his shoulder. So I'm not talking about anybody outside.
Okay, you're not talking about any external force. You are saying, okay,
yeah, not external force. Strictly in-camp forces.
All right, let's just be clear, because when these words are spoken, I'm not inside your mind. Sure, it's only what you said that I can hear, and it's based on that I can ask whatever question I want to ask. Okay, let's take the positives first. We look at it. You just said first we won our first match, first friendly in 25 matches. In 15 games, that was the first one that we won. Okay, people talked about our attack, we'll see the two victors. But at least we do hope that maybe Osimhen will be back, before. I don't know the extent of his injury that he copped in, right there. But we saw his team win 3-1 yesterday. Yesterday, before without him. We don't want to play without him. We know what happened in the last AFCON. We want to see if at least our best legs are available. Let's look at the attack of the Super Eagles. Will somebody say, look, I have this. How do I say it? I have so much in my hands, and I have a problem. And the kind of problem is a problem of selection. These are the kind of problems that coaches like to have. What is your take? Let's just look at not Boniface. I think we call him Boniface. I don't know what I call him Boniface right in the Bundesliga. Victor Boniface, as we call him, and Victor Osimhen. And which we will have Sadiq, we have Sadiq Kumar, we have Chukwueze, we have a lot of them joining in that forward line. Are you excited by the number of forwards that we have?
I don't think there's anybody in the world that is not excited with our strength in depth when it comes to attack. We have the best attackers, whether it's in Italy or in Germany or in France. So we have the best attackers. And without a doubt, when you look at the likes of Murphy, Awoni, Osimhen, Boniface, Simon, Lukman, Chukwueze, we have the best. We have the cream of the crop, if you like. And like, if I borrow a phrase from back in the day when Gowon said, "Our problem is not money. Our problem is
how to spend money." Yes,
exactly. Our problem is not players. Our problem is how to blend the team and get the right mix of players. And unfortunately, because we are so rich, some very good players will have to sit it out. And I think you mentioned earlier, you have a player and he may not fit the way the coach wants to play, or may not blend with another player too well.
So these
are the very, very difficult decisions that the coaches pay big bucks to make.
Okay, Jimmy, why Daffy is there? Briefly, look at what Daffy just said. You have players. Of course, the credo has been that good players don't sit on the bench.
Definitely.
That you must find a place for them. Definitely. I remember going through Real Madrid bench, in the late 90s, early 2000.
Yeah.
And all the time they
were repeat with talents. Yeah.
You just get get me Zidane, get me Beckham, get me Ronaldo, get me this, put them there, Roberto Carlos, whatever it is, so get a result out of that, whatever it is. I mean, synergize. Yes. Understanding, telepathy. I mean, these are the things that okay. Where you want to see when things are.
Yeah.
So, why do you what we have you seen some the combos that I remember when we have a Friday Elaho and Eri Mosu. Before he goes, he knows where he wants to drop. Whereas Eri is trying to touch the ball, Elaho, elastic Elaho, we call it. He's already running there. Whatever.
What we have basically are individual talents.
Okay. Individual talent. But we are going on a short break. Okay. When we come back, we shall know how we can get that mixed together. We are going on a very short break. It's how we have individual talents. Now we have the talents. But let's see, how can you put all those talents in the pot, cook the meal that will be so, swampy that guy. Stay with us, the Channel Sport on Sunday. All right, we're back, and then today we are going to have a full house, and we also see if we can squeeze in some calls, for you guys to look at this and let us know your fears. We've been hearing your cries on, the way forward, the shaky foundation that we have. We want to build this house on a solid foundation, not on quicksand. It is not going to sink in whatever way. So basically, that's where we are going. But then Daphne is right there in London. But let's see. I want to bring it because, like we said yesterday, it was. I was there shaking and shaking, thinking that Africa is out. Look, I wish probably if I wasn't talking sport, maybe forget my voice. I would have been, an artist. It wasn't that. No matter. Go and sit down somewhere. No. I want to sing the song. You understand? No matter where you come from, as far as you are a black man, you are an African. Oh, you understand?
So you will be a promoter.
so anywhere the African is, you will find me. Whether it's Africa by skin, whether it's Africa by situation, whether it's Africa by geography, whether it's Africa by anything Africa, you will find me. So when South Africa took on, when South Africa took on England yesterday, yes, South Africa did their bad, gidigba, and then they were trained them apart. those are the Argentina. I don't know how they got to the semi-finals. I mean, it was one of those miracles that happens when they knocked out Wales. I mean, Wales is up there, and then Argentina did
also up there.
Argentina, they did that, yes. So New Zealand, of course, New Zealand 3 times winners. For goodness sake, I mean, 4 times winners. I think they're going with their 5th win or so. So I mean, I think 4th or 5th win, I'm not too sure. But New Zealand are one of the greatest teams in rugby. And then this is England, South Africa. I tell you this, it wasn't what we wanted to win. But that's the final.
So that's the final. New Zealand.
But then we have, there is only in Nigeria we have only one Mr. Rugby. There is only one. When you talk rugby, only one. Undisputed. I don't know if we have a Mrs. Rugby, but for now we have no Mr. Rugby. And Mr. Rugby, if he's ready, he's going to join us.
Undisputed.
He's not in London. Okay. NT in Con Williams, Mr. Rugby is in the house. Hello, NT. How are you?
Thank you, sir. Nice to be here with you.
I like this your salvation. I like this your army dress. When you come, you know what to call it. From salvation at the army.
We can't. For me, we can't separate the Salvation Army with rugby in Nigeria, because this is what took us out of the country to be able to meet up with a country that had rugby in the school for me to be part of it.
Okay. Okay. Let me take you back to yesterday. Yesterday night. I mean, how were you? When it was that, we're looking at a time when it was that 15-6, and that it was from 12-6, before 9-6, 12-6, 15. It was that 15-6 in that game. How were you feeling? I want to take you with it because we go to the quarterfinals, because they did the same thing to us in the quarterfinals against France. So let's take why is South Africa doing this to us? But how did you feel yesterday first?
Well, thanks very much. I think the Rugby World Cup has been a very good showing. South Africa has actually redeemed the image of Africa on the world stage. South Africa is on the first tier alongside with the likes of New Zealand, France, England, Australia, and the likes. And them being the defending champions have actually put smiles on the faces of Africans right now. They started the game a bit dragging. England had a better game, coming into the semi-finals. I believe the weather actually played a very good, had a very good advantage for England. Now, it was raining, it was shower, and England, they actually enjoyed the rainy rugby and muddy rugby, unlike South Africa. But I think England came in with more determination. They actually punctured and, upset the game plan of South Africa. And you could see in the 30th minute of the game, South Africa had to pull out their fly half and bring in Pollard, which was more of the professional fly half. And they had to come back into the second half playing a different style of rugby. Now, I predicted, to be honest with you, when it was 72 minutes of the game, I actually made a prediction on in 2 of our
platforms.
WhatsApp platforms.
Yeah.
By then it was actually 15-6, and I said South Africa is going to score a try, and that's going to be the only try of this match, and they're going to score it in a convenient place to which they are going to have a successful conversion. And then after that, they're going to play in the 22 meters of England, and they're going to force England into conceding a penalty, which they're going to convert. And thereafter, they're just going to muscle England into ending the game that way. And to be honest with you, that's what actually took place. So I'm happy that South Africa has won that semi-finals. We were actually expecting a much free-flowing game in this semi-final, but I guess because of the weather, you needed to keep the ball instead of flowing the ball because it's slippery, and by the time you're passing the ball, you can't hold on to the ball because of the wetness of the game and the ball and the pitch.
Okay, let me ask you this. Yeah, let me ask you this. Of course, England did, like you said, you're going into that England game. I mean, okay, let me leave you with your thought first, or let us hear your thought on that England, or how how the English will be feeling, since yesterday till now, because it is like you allowed victory slip off your hands. Can you just briefly, put yourself in the English shoes? Haven't fought that much up to that 72nd minute, and then you are looking at the the end result. You are thinking because they got better it was 12-6. At halftime, you understand? So we're expecting, we're expecting South Africa to come back. They did not. England went 15-6. And then while you are about ending the thing, something just happened. What as in the English, what do you think? How would they be feeling now? You understand? Did they say, okay, we performed beyond the expectations, or man, this was an opportunity that we just allowed to slip by?
I wouldn't really want to be in the shoes of England right now. And as of since yesterday night, it's quite unfortunate. To be honest with you, they had 2 World Cups. There was the Cricket World Cup that took place by 10:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
And they were playing against South Africa. And
exactly.
And in the evening, by 8 o'clock, they were now playing against South Africa again in the Rugby World Cup. And unfortunately, they lost by just 1 point. So being an England cricket or rugby fan, right now, they are not the best of people to crack jokes with. It's quite unfortunate. I don't know how they're going to handle the 3rd place because Argentina is actually going to come out to upset the stage. I hear the English fans are all pulling their weight behind New Zealand against South Africa. It's expected. That game is actually going to be a very, very niggling game.
All right, just hold it there. Hold it. Yes, just hold it. Don't worry, just hold it. We'll come to that. I don't want to, because we also have, we have a Daffy in the house talking the Super Eagles. I want to have this mix together of you guys and plus our guys in the house right here. Jimmy, let's go to.
And I'd love to ask him, Mbonabi. There is this racial slur allegation against Mbonabi. What exactly does he think would emanate from that? Is it going to have any effect at this point in time?
Okay. Let's see. But let's go back to is Daffy there? Let's go back to Daffy if Daffy is there. Before we come back to NT, is Daffy there? Okay. Daffy. We looked at the attack of the Super Eagles, and then also I want us to look at the midfield. What are defensive and attacking midfield? And one man has caught my fancy. I'm sorry. Sometimes we have Super Eagles gaffers who tell you when you are playing the lower division, you don't make my team. I've been thrilled by what he's been doing. Leicester going down, and who said, what is going to happen? But at Leicester City, we found out that the new manager has pushed him forward. He was no longer playing defensive midfield. He's playing attacking midfield. He's creating opportunities and he's scoring goals. And coming down to anchor the Super Eagles. Do you see him in that new role? Wilfred Ndidi. But that is my personal opinion. But I want to when you are talking about the midfield, what do you see? What is the role you see that Ndidi should be playing? Or do you also share my views? Of course, you have your different views of how the team should be composed of. That partnership that he's trying to foster within himself and Iwobi in that front. And who takes behind them? Are you comfortable with what you are having in the midfield?
You see, there's one thing I always say. If you always try what you always did, you always get what you always got. Ndidi has been our number 4 for years.
Yeah.
Right. I can't even count the number of years. He's been the first name on the sheet, and nobody is taking that position from him. That has been where we have been. And since, let's say, 2016, 2017, 2018, we really haven't moved forward because we have not tried different things. Our midfield has, in the past 5 years, been very, very sparse. You see the call-up list, you see 4, 5, 6 midfielders in a squad of 20-something. So it has always been thin. And it's been a fact where we miss Ndidi. Say, for example, he got 2 yellow cards in the matches against Libya in 2018 and was suspended for the next 2. We were scratching our heads. What are we going to do? The same thing Iwobi. When Iwobi came on against Tunisia in the quarterfinals 2022 AFCON, he got a red card within 7 minutes and missed the next 2. We then found that we were very bare in the middle of the park. Our bench is supposed to be as strong as our starting 3 or 4 in the midfield. So Ndidi trying out new things, open space for other players to come in. The likes of Rafael Onyedika has come in and has deputized a little bit. Franco Yeka has now probably cemented himself into the team as well. So we're still building that strength in depth. Yes, Ndidi is very, very useful going forward and linking the defense to attack. That's something that Iwobi does very well. He's always linking the defense to attack and moving forward. And he's starting to do that as well. And we're starting to see other younger players coming in, because once we start to mix things up, then we know whether the salt enter all the soup or the salt now only one side of the soup. You understand where I'm coming from? It's by trying new things that we discover new things about our players.
Okay. So you are saying it is okay, at least let us have the options where you can move in there. There are some players they call utility players, and like I said, I told them we discussed it last week when I said when there was a time that Leicester was having defensive crisis and they sent him into central defense, and I said, for goodness sake, what did this guy can go do? And they said, look, the guy started from central defense when he was playing at MFM before he moved into midfield. And then I can also say that he cannot play attacking midfield role, and that versatility is where you can say, okay, a coach will now say, okay, fine, if you like you said, if we have a red card here, you guy can move there. If we have injury problem here, this guy can move down there. All right. That is move. I don't know if it is possible. If my producers, we can take some calls, if they can ask them, questions as we are moving now. I want to see what is going on. But then we have the Catalan in the house. So yesterday, Sevilla taking on Real Madrid. It is what an Alonso and Sergio Ramos show. You said they did the God's work.
Exactly. Now I was just going to repeat myself. He basically did the Lord's work.
The Lord's work
yesterday.
So who is the Lord work? Who is the Lord work?
But Sergio Ramos was at PSG last season, and they didn't retain him. They let the bulk of their players leave, Messi, Neymar, and the likes. But coming back to Sevilla this season, we've seen him put on string of very consistent, sterling performances, and he's been really, really impressive. Barring the own goal against Sevilla that helped Barca get the win against Sevilla, he was literally the reason why Barca struggled in that particular game. And yesterday, he didn't look at the fact that these were my former teammates. No. Kicked at everybody, lashed out at everybody.
Was he okay, you can take the results.
Antoine Griezmann was on fire yesterday.
3 goals.
Helping out Atletico Madrid. Away from home, very important victory. The match talks about Sevilla, Real Madrid 1-1 draw. Madrid losing a little bit of momentum, because it seemed like they were house on fire.
Yeah.
And I was happy that they were able to at least finally nullify Bellingham. What happened? Is it the only person there? Etafe played the 1-1 draw against Real Betis, and of course, they also said that defeating Mallorca by 1-0.
Okay.
I think the most important thing is the fact that the Sevilla management, they reacted quickly to the fan that was, chanting racially. And I think it's something that the Vinny Juniors guy would really be excited about. He's gone through a lot in the past 2-3 years when it comes to reach out chance and all that. And, you know, I would think that the Sevilla management, having done that, says a lot about the fact that they realize the fact that if you actually take them to court, take these fans to court, if you take action decisively, they will want to do the right thing.
Let's take Shola. Hello, Shola.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Shola from Kaduna.
Oh, yeah? Shola, how are you?
I'm fine. Please, I want to contribute to this national team, which is our Super Eagles issue. What I discovered is that we need a teamwork in the team. We have a lot of talented players in our national team. I want the coach to make sure he has a quality, a team squad. Let him focus on a team squad. When you remember, in Tunisia 94, this coach, West Ham, he built on his team, a team squad, and he helped the team up to US 94. That is the truth. We need the coach to go ahead to get a team squad, to build on that team squad. There is no team, there is no country that we can beat in this nation. If the man can stay with that national team, which is a team squad, let him work on a team squad. It will help him, and it will help the country in the nation's cup.
All right. So much, thank you, Shola. I like that.
Pesero is handling the chanting. Is handling the Super Eagles team. Ordinarily, he should have a 44-man, roster based on having two teams. That's 11-11 for the Super Eagles, and also the home base. So you can easily
what is wrong with normally we used to have those two teams.
So the question is why are we wasting money?
Shola is just talking about 94.
We played against Mozambique, we played against Saudi Arabia. We are spending money. We consider how many goals.
Shola is just talking about 93. How did Peter Rufai came back into the team? How did Sondo Lise enter the team? It was the Chan team, the team that was playing the African qualifiers, where those guys found a way and moved in there. Only Sanko, they were just at the French players, but they played that match I think against Ethiopia. We won 6-1 or 7-1 or something, and then they showed like a zillion stars, and that was why it was done. Let's come to MPFL. Let's come back. Let's come to MPFL and let's see what are the games that are scheduled for today. Okay.
These are two teams that won the MPFL. Gombe United will be playing against
Aqua United against
Shooting.
No, when you say okay, that was yesterday's result first. Niger Tornadoes. I don't know Bayelsa. Bayelsa is I don't know what's happening to Bayelsa.
What was your what? Because of computer, your friend. Computer, when the team wins, computer will be bragging. Oh, this. But when they lose,
computer is my friend. So there's
something about computer that I think our fans should know. I mean, listeners should know.
Yeah,
he's the first person that did what.
Computer was the first one that did mid-season transfer in Nigeria. When they moved from shooting stars to GIB Rockstar to shooting stars and all. Computer has its history. We won't talk about computer history here. But I say that he's manager. Okay. Shemi Lori, how are you?
I'm fine.
You are so calm.
Hello.
I'm fine. I hope they don't take breakfast because they lunch now. Shemilori, let's hear you. Speak out. Hello,
Okay.
Okay. He will call back because when he called, my name is Shemilori.
Take the next one.
Come on, this is sports. Ginger yourself up. It is sports. We're talking sports. We are still talking about the MPFL. Let's see the fixtures for today. We just talked about Niger Tornadoes beating Bayelsa United yesterday. Today's fixtures. MPFL now we own. Let's take that. What are the other fixtures that are there?
Aqua United, shooting stars.
Jimmy said they are two past three. Ancient and modern.
And then Gombe United will be hosting the Bendel Insurance. Bendel Insurance. The best team in the league as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Atlanta will, of course, be hosting Katsina United.
Atlanta has been doing well this season.
Yeah, they have.
Kano Pillars Rivers United. Quara United.
This is like modern winners. Modern winners. We can talk about modern winners.
You are changing traditional teams. Okay.
Quara United.
Eagle Rangers and Abia Warriors will be visiting Lobby Stars.
Lobby Stars. Okay.
And then Plateau United will taking on Shooting Stars, Sporting Lagos.
Okay.
Remo Stars. That's going to be a derby.
Hospitality Lagos.
Okay, those are the two privately owned teams.
Exactly. The Southwestern Derby.
The Southwestern Derby.
It's so good to see what the two sides are doing.
Okay.
They are creating value for the league on their individual levels.
All right, we are going on a short break. When we'll come back, we shall analyze those values. The lines will still be open. Mr. Rugby is there. He will tell us what is going to happen in the finals. Of course, Daffy will look at that defense of the Super Eagles. Stay with us.
And it will represent 8 of the highest ranked football clubs on the African continent. The African Football League will be a very important step to ensure that club football on the African continent is globally competitive. It's exciting, the fans love it, and it involves the best players on the continent, and the prize money will be amongst the biggest. We recognize that an important part of maintaining and ensuring that the best African players play in Africa is linked to the salaries that we will be paying all of these players. Those salaries have to be competitive, and we also want to make sure that the clubs that are participating, it's an important part towards the football clubs on the continent becoming self-sustaining and, very importantly, becoming profitable. The performances of the African national teams during the World Cup, as well as the World Cup in Qatar, we were very proud of the performance of Morocco, making history and qualifying to the semi-finals of the World Cup, and all of the nations, Cameroon, Senegal, Tunisia and Ghana that represented us in Qatar, made us proud to show the world that African football is as good as the best in the world. At the recent Women's Football World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, our women's national teams made Africa proud. The exciting performances by Nigeria, by Morocco, by South Africa and Zambia indicated that amongst our women, the football on the continent is globally competitive. We're excited that this is part of the process to ensure that the players we have in Africa are paid well, are recognized that they are world-class, and the football on the African continent is exciting and attractive to football spectators.
Yeah, our sweet music to the ears. It's all about the money. I don't know, those of you who have watched, have you watched this movie, Jerry Maguire? I don't know if you have watched it. And then the guy is saying, show me the money, show me the money. It has to be the money. And then he's saying, look, you have to pay the players well. You have to play those who work in the army. And then Enyimba is an example. We want to say after this, because Enyimba is getting a guaranteed $1 million, guaranteed for just participating, for being in the quarterfinals. 8 teams are in the quarterfinals of this inaugural African Football League. And all 8 teams are guaranteed $1 million. If you move from that quarterfinal to the semifinals, you collect 1.7 million. 1.7 million, that is almost double. You understand? From the semifinal, if you enter the final, you are guaranteed 3 million because the losing finalists collect 3 million, while the winner collect 4 million. We're talking about, okay, so those are the results for yesterday. The day before, when they kicked up on the 20th, Simba of Tanzania took on Al Ahly. It was 2-2. While yesterday it was Mamelodi Sundowns went to Angola to beat Petro. It was Petro Luanda. You understand? So these are today's fixtures. TP Mazembe will be taking on Esperance of Tunis, while at Godswill Akpabio Stadium, please go there and check this Enyimba up. Enyimba will be taking on the champions of Africa, Wydad Casablanca. So basically, those are the teams that will be participating in the inaugural edition of the African Football League. It is all about the money. And then when Okwe is in the house, so when you talk about the money, you go to talk to the banker. And when you're talking to the banker, he's talking to us, look, he said, Ken, I'm talking to the banker's corp. Access Bank kept a clean sheet. Who did Access Bank play against yesterday?
It was a resounding victory against FCMB.
A resounding victory.
No, Ken, you know, now we have a goalkeeping crisis.
Okay.
So any Nigerian team that is keeping a clean sheet, I think our focus should be there.
So should we go and take Access Bank goalkeeper?
Ken,
Okay, so Access Bank goalkeeper.
Let me drive you through.
Okay.
We played our first World Cup in 1994.
Yes.
2 out of our 3 keepers came from former Nigerian banks. We fed Agbonebare NMB, Aloysius Osagu, ACB.
Okay.
And record that
when the banks were actively involved,
31%.
Don't qualify it.
Yes. 31% of the players that featured in our first World Cup were former players that played for Nigerian banks.
NMB,
Nigerian, talk of Keshi, talk of
the likes of Mosu,
Aloysius,
even right up to
Okafor, Victor Ekpeba.
Exactly.
So about 7 of them, which was 31% of the team that represented this nation. So I think the bankers game, we can look up to it. Maybe going back to
when it comes to statistics, the moment Okpe start talking, all I do is just watch. Look, I never ever thought of it in that way. That I mean, a chunk of the players came from the banks, and that is when the banks were the banks. I mean, when they were, not just declaring profit, but they were, blowing back.
New Nigerian Bank got us a Wafu Cup.
Of course, that was after Rangers have failed, Shooting Stars have failed, Insurance have failed. They all went. They would have even gotten it for a 3rd year, but for Shooting Stars. Because they played the final, won it, they back to back. Then the next they already qualified for final. Shooting Stars had issue
in their semi-final.
And Nigeria. Why are we always pulling out? No. Why are we always pulling out? The same way we won the Nations Cup in 1994 and we pulled out in 96. I do not understand.
And we even allow South
Africa to win it.
To win the Nations Cup.
What pained me most is that we stopped Rashid Yekini because Laurent Boko was on 13 goals.
He could
easily
have done it. He was on fire.
Yekini would have scored at least 21, 22, 23 goals.
Exactly.
If he has gone to 96, 98, he was at his peak of his powers. There was no one who has scored 66 goals. Anyway, we have our guest here. Let's not just leave us standing. Let's go to Mr. Rugby first before I go to Tite. Mr. Rugby, final. Let's briefly give us. Okay, I know it's Mr. Rugby. Yes. Let's go to Mr. Rugby. Ntiese and Okon Williams. Ntiese, is the Rugby World Cup coming to Africa? Is it coming to Africa? Is it coming to Africa?
We're looking forward to that. We have
South Africa. Okay, go on.
Yeah, we have South Africa, who is going for the Rugby World Cup finals to try and win these finals for the 4th time. The same thing with New Zealand. The All Blacks have won it 3 times. South Africa has won it 3 times as well.
Oh, wow.
So the 2 of them would want to make history by winning it for the 4th time. But South Africa is actually going to win it by the grace of God for the 4th time, and also to equal the record of New Zealand, who won the World Cup back-to-back. So South Africa would want to make that history of winning it back-to-back, and at the same time, winning it for the 4th time. For me, it's going to be a very, very interesting game of solid, brute, entertaining rugby at the best. First and foremost, the opening is going to be, so exciting with the New Zealand haka. I guess they're going to be coming out with a very, very new haka for the final. And South Africa, on the other hand, I'm looking at the finals of 1995 repeating itself, where it's going to be, they're going to throw everything.
Was 95? Was South Africa not the host in 95? Was South Africa?
Yes, South Africa came in to the World Cup for the first time in 1995.
Yes.
And they hosted and they won with
exactly.
Madiba. You know, wearing the number 6,
the great Madiba,
to cheer South Africa to victory. This time around, South Africa, I don't know, New Zealand is actually having most of the fans, because here you are, South Africa knocked out the favorite and host, France. We were expecting France to actually play in the finals again, but South Africa knocked them out, and the English side were also knocked out in the semi-final by the same South Africa. It's going to be tough, but guess what? South Africa never say die, and I am rooting for South Africa. I'm looking forward to them winning the World Cup for the 4th time.
All right, Auntie, it's always a pleasure having you here. After this, we are going to talk about, when Nigeria, we'll be rooting for Nigerians, right there at, I don't know, we have not been, we've not gone to that level where we qualify to play in the World Cup. But I want to see Nigeria in the next. So I know you are doing a lot.
Well, let me just tell you this. Nigeria has qualified to play in the Olympics qualifiers.
Oh wow!
Where you had 12 nations, and we came 8th, which was very, very good. Top 8 or top 10 in Africa was a very good achievement for us. We've done that before. We actually qualified for the Commonwealth, games. Unfortunately, we didn't go for it. But I think the Sevens rugby, which is different from what is going on right now, this is the 15th rugby. 15th rugby will take us much longer years to be able to get to the world stage. But on the Sevens rugby, we will definitely get there in the next 5 years or so. And our women's rugby is actually the one which I would want to bet, my money on, that will actually win faster laurels in 7 women's rugby for Nigeria, than even the men.
Thank you, Tese. Because I don't like my heart being, you see, sometimes the way you say these things, when you were saying that it's a long run, I thought the 5 year was a long run. But when you say even to qualify, let's just end this talk here. Thank you, Chase, for being part of the show. When next we want to look at rugby development in Nigeria, the grassroots job in doing in Edo and other areas, and let's see how that will take us. So we can cut that to 5 years to probably 2.5 years. And by 5 years, we're talking about rugby, we're talking about 15, not 7. All right, thanks, NT. Thank you very much for being here. Let's go back.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, Daffy, Tite is there. Daffy, let's come to you before we go, because we are still going to take our last basketball story. Hello, Daffy. Daffy, how are you? Briefly. Yeah. I want to see your face. I've not seen it. All right, where is Daffy?
No.
All right. Okay, David. Briefly, in about 2-3 minutes, can you just tell your take on, you talked about inviting goalkeepers to the national team and they are not, using them. The same case, for the 2 friendlies we had just 1 goalkeeper, even if it was shaky, or when we talk about it, probably, the guy saying, let me not destroy his confidence, let me still keep him right there. Yeah, I mean, so what people are saying, come back, get goalkeepers from the MPFL, I don't want to say local league, from the home league, bring them in, and why, in any competition, why does the coach not have confidence on our home-based keepers?
I think it's kind of short-sighted to say bring in local league goalkeepers and they will sort out the problem. The reason I say that, not because they are not able, not because of ability, talent, or anything, but there was a local keeper in camp. What stopped him from playing?
Exactly.
Visa. While they were in camp training, he was in the Portuguese embassy waiting for his visa. He did not arrive camp until the day before match. He could not have played. So what's the way around it? Yes, if you want to get players from the local league, which I fully endorse, bring out your list early enough so that these players can go and get their visa. If you know the visa is going to take you a week or 2 weeks, then you bring out your list 2 weeks earlier so that these people can prepare and they can arrive in camp on time.
Okay.
The other part that didn't show, Adebayo Adeleye, nobody could have foretold the war in Israel and Gaza. So that again was unfortunate. He arrived camp late as well because of the attrition in the Middle East. But
so going forward, because all our focus now is how we can retrieve our trophy. Because I mean, the cry is let's do it again. Let's do it again. You understand? So if we want to do it again, I mean, what should we do as you close? Let's have your closing remark and that in that goalkeeping area, that goalkeeping albatross, that goalkeeping challenge that we have.
Two things. Number one, we win AFCON every 14 to 20 years.
Okay.
1980 to 94 is 14 years. 94 to 2013 is 19 years. 2013 is only 10 years ago.
Okay, so you mean the time never reach?
Time never reach. We did win our but time never reach. What does the team need? What does the team need? Not total changes. Maybe one goalkeeper, because we have in Adeleye an active keeper.
Yeah.
We need maybe one keeper, maybe somebody in defense, somebody to improve the midfield, and maybe somebody in attack. We don't need wholesale changes. All we need is for the organization and the systems, policies, and procedures to be a little bit more watertight, so that when you call somebody up, that person arrives camp on time with all the documents that they need. So again, if you are calling somebody from Africa to Europe, you factor in that this person will need to apply for a visa. And this embassy uses this amount of time to process the visa.
The protocol department should be doing that. I mean, it is their work to facilitate visa entry. I mean,
it didn't work this last time.
Well, let us know why it doesn't work, and let us know why it should. Because these guys are not eloping. They are wearing our colors. They are not going to the embassy on their own personal name. They are going because they want to represent the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So in that case, the government might.
Nigeria is not one of those countries where you will send sports people abroad and they don't come back.
And they don't come back, exactly.
Come back. They will always find something.
So I mean, I don't see why they don't give them visa.
Do the job and come back home because they have a job to do.
Okay, Daffy, it's exciting. Also exciting talking with you. We do this. When next week come, let us see. We'll take. I know you already jot it down. What our boys are doing in Europe. We should be here in about a week or two. Where we'll bring you back on the show. Thank you, Daffy.
And hopefully we'll have some very big news coming.
All right. Very, 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 very big news. All right. Thank you, Daff. Thank you. We call him the Big Daff. He's right there. London is cold now. I'm enjoying the weather in Nigeria. All right. Before I come to you guys, let's just see what the MFM basketball team are doing. I mean, they go to the grassroots. They started the MFM football team, and then you see how far they went. Of course, that terrain is a joke. So right now they've gone into basketball. I think
they went into athletics, gone into basketball,
wrestling. Odwanyo is being sponsored by the MFM.
And Expert actually started when they won globally, the World Cup football competition. Yeah. And now they've gone into basketball and doing fantastically well, winning these are the maiden win. Yeah. And having to append custom 6460. Yeah. It's very instructive. It's all about the investment they've put into sport development, and these guys have got to be happy. The church has got to be happy. The management team, they've got to be happy, because at the end of the day, we'll be talking about grassroots, getting them from the grassroots. For a long time, we didn't have a league running. Yeah. But now what we have is we're able to play competitions, we're able to play Super 4, and this is something that is actually delightful to see.
Of course. I mean, these are the MFM Mountain of Fire Miracles women. All right, they are excited. I mean, the atmosphere, the background noise. But the thing is that
even Regina Donano, Vivian Wuji, okay. Some of the players did quite well during the course of the competition. So okay, for me,
we are going
home. Yeah. I think that we should declare a state of emergency for our goalkeeping position. we have at least 3 goalkeepers that we can use in the national national team here. Ojo, Nwoke, Bankole.
Oh yeah, we are closing.
It's good to have the Leventis kind of Cinderella story with MFM.
MFM, yeah.
wishing them all the best as they proceed onto the continent. Then for the goalkeeping crisis, I think we should have that kind of Mourinho philosophy. Today, Mourinho's team are the second clean sheet.
Roma defeated Monza.
I tell you this, ask me want to do it again and again and again and again, starting from Cote d'Ivoire. All I can say is, I cannot go. God bless Nigeria.